Yeah. Fuck that. All right. So,
Episode 10?
Episode 10, man. It's been a while. We have not recorded in a minute.
Partially
Like
because
3
of me.
minutes,
it's
maybe.
my fault a little bit because I totally tore the basement apart.
Yeah, we don't have
Our
a studio.
studio.
Yeah. You'll notice, listeners, this will also be on YouTube as well, but if you're checking us out on YouTube where you'd normally expect to like see two ugly mugs in a basement, you're just going to hear us.
You're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to be, or happy if you don't want to see our faces.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah. This is a pick your own adventure kind of shit.
Yeah.
Do what you want. But, yeah, so what are we drinking today? Not our usual fare.
Claire Bum.
Yeah, we're
Brum. Brun?
Clear Bums.
2 N's or an M? Claire Brun.
Bruns.
Yeah.
Sparkling water.
Just sparkling
Lime.
water. I mean, we're going to do it right, though. I mean, we're going to
yeah.
get that's it. That's the good stuff right there. So, yeah, we are just, we are not in our normal space. So we are hanging out with the subject of episode 10. And very excited. We actually just got done recording a podcast, an episode for his podcast. So
It's called I Don't Do That. Check
yeah,
it out.
I don't do that.
It's very fun.
And yeah, good time. So this will be our first guest that we are calling him a guest. We're in his basement.
Yeah.
You're my
guest.
guest. No.
Right. But no, we're super excited to be here. So everyone, this is Ocho.
Hi.
Hey, Ocho.
Hey.
What's up, man?
I've listened to your podcast for a long time now.
Sweet. We
you
appreciate
like
that.
it?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
all
that's
right, cool.
why I got in touch with you. Like Ethan, we know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like I
Yes.
came on here to talk shit because you guys are terrible.
I hit up
yeah.
Tyler. I remember on one of the podcasts you were like you sort of invited people to get in touch with you, so I did. You know, like,
Every episode, man. Yeah, do it. Anybody else? Get on here. Let's tell your story too. But yeah, super excited to have you.
yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me
So,
too.
So yeah, we kind of keep it free form. We don't really have much, structure to this.
Yeah,
But our show is basically just about people kind of finding their own way in life and kind of finding their own version of paradise. So, tell us a little bit about your story and kind of your background and what's,
Yeah.
where do you come from?
Well, I grew up Catholic. I would say that my parents are very open-minded people. When you hear about Catholics, you don't necessarily think about that.
Yeah.
So I was, in listening to your podcast, it's like I kind of thought that Catholicism is very stringent and specific about a lot of things. There's a lot of rules and stuff that aren't necessarily in Protestant religions. But then when I heard about Jehovah's Witness and all the, I was like, it's like whiskey versus beer or something. So like I was raised with something less strict. And then, like I say, my parents being open-minded people. And Ethan, I remember like you talking about questions that you had and like actually being able to present an argument. And I definitely got that. They're both in law. My parents were. They both went to law school. So like I just learned how to argue from listening to them, and like very much about being particular about what exactly we're talking about. And I like use that in my podcast too. It's like when someone says they don't do something, I always like wonder like, well, what exactly or is this behavior? Can we define this thing that you don't do?
Yeah.
And we learn things that way. So, yeah, so I think I always, with them being open-minded and good at arguing, I think I learned that I could dismantle a lot of these rules pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And biblical tales and things like that. And like, I might see something like on the History Channel, like about Noah's Ark or something. I just roll my eyes like that's history. Like that could ever happen. I mean, there's no way.
Right.
They're just somehow
That kangaroo hopped 7,600 miles back to Australia.
right
Afterwards.
Right.
So and anyway, like that kind of thing. Like I always had questions about it, and some of it was explained to me like, well, this can be a metaphor, or this could be so that I think that kept me pursuing maybe the more spiritual side of it, because there's definitely a part of it that is enriching and that I didn't want to let go.
Yeah.
And even even my parents now, like my mother's in her, she's like an older lady, and I probably shouldn't say how old she is. But
I won't tell her.
she switched churches. I don't know how much I should tell her story, but because she wanted to help people, and the church that she was in the community that she lives in, there weren't really opportunities for that.
Yeah.
So she went to somewhere else that maybe other Catholics wouldn't approve of her doing that, but
for a good reason.
yeah, and I admire her for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think my folks were always into like the teachings and doing the good thing, more so than little details.
Yeah.
So I gotta hand it to them, because as I go out and see a lot of religious people, that seems to be kind of a rare thing. Like, and if someone wants to talk to me about, I try to relate to people rather than like espouse my own views, which I have come up with. You know what I mean? I have really gone out there and looked and synthesized some ideas about about what is this nature of the universe and like where I fit in and all of this stuff. I really have done that.
So you've taken the time to examine what you were taught as a child and able to question that, break it down, and go,
Yeah.
yeah, I like this, I don't like that, and like be able to pick and choose and
Sure.
figure out what works for you and
Sure.
what your belief system really is
Yeah.
based on who you are, not what was dictated to you.
And you were allowed to do that too, right? I mean, like nobody.
I've been
really-
allowed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said rules, like you had rules to follow, or you could dismantle rules. What kind of rules did Catholics have, or did that branch of Catholicism?
Well, I mean, the way I was brought up was like, so there's sins. There's two categories of sins. There's venial sins and mortal sins. Do you guys deal with this? Or, no?
We don't have that
Not so much?
distinction. I'm aware.
Yeah.
I was always aware of mortal, and I could
Yeah.
never remember until you just said it now what the other venial. But yeah,
Yeah. So the mortal sin was the thing that, like, if you did not confess to this and do penance, then you were going to hell. And pardon me, I'm not a theologist, so if I get any of this wrong, this is just what I was taught and what I remember. So, and like some of those are like actually like if you don't keep holy the Sabbath. So if I'm missing church, this could be a mortal sin for me. That's on a level of like killing somebody. So I was like, that I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And
What are some examples of venial sins then?
like telling a lie.
Okay.
That's
like,
like
yeah.
trivial stuff. Like,
Yeah. Maybe the lies we tell every day, like, yeah.
Me making jokes about Ethan's mom.
No, you did a really good job there. That was just fine. I think everyone was impressed with you. Something like that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Speeding.
Speeding.
Yeah,
sure.
not
I
a big-
wasn't
I don't-
speeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Or if I might hurt somebody's feelings or something like that. If
I blame shit on Brandon every day. I lie to
Well,
Pan and say Brandon did it.
Yeah.
That's venial, right?
sure.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, it's hard now because I don't
Someday Pan kills Brandon.
I don't believe in this stuff. So like,
Right.
yeah. And I guess the Catholics have the sacraments,
Yeah.
which is like a thing. Yeah, but it always seemed like a bit more realistic to me than some of the other stuff like that. Like no one told me that I couldn't believe in evolution, or that that the Earth was the center of the universe, or that the Earth was 6,000 years old, or some stuff like that. Honestly, if I had been told that and they're like, no, you must, I would have been gone much sooner.
Yeah.
But I'm quite sure, because I couldn't have stuck around with something that's that fundamentalist, dogmatic. And also, the way I was raised was not evangelical. It wasn't like you're trying to recruit people and bring people into the fold. It was more that, it was more by example. It was like, if you do this, then people will want to be in your church because of how you are, because they'll see you. And that stuff, like, I still kind of think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really cool. One thing that
Yeah.
kind of stands out to me is, you talk about, you were allowed to think for yourself,
Yeah.
and you're allowed to think critically.
Yeah.
And so there's certain things that, for us, we were given those dogmatic rules, like you can't do this, and we were told, yes, the Earth is 6,000 years old, and you have to believe that, and all these things. And I think it's partially because, like, our upbringing, where we're not allowed to question things, it kind of makes those things seem realistic. It's like, oh yeah, I can't question that, so that has to be true. Whereas you're like, well, had it been presented to me in that way, you'd have kind of butted heads with it, at an earlier age. Whereas
I believe
allowed to
so.
think
it's almost more of a
Yeah.
control mechanism on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I say that, but I don't know. I don't know how I would have acted, honestly, if things were different.
I mean,
But-
yeah, but it makes sense,
Yeah.
that you were allowed to question and,
Yeah.
kind of figure out your own way, that it kind of stands to reason that, yeah, it would be,
Yeah.
you'd go, yeah, right.
yeah.
Right.
And I was confirmed Catholic at like 16 or something, and my confirmation sponsor was like my childhood best friend, who was a year older than me, and that was it wasn't, I was maybe mentally out, like you would say at that point,
Sure.
but I thought, like, yeah, people will like this. Like, my family will like this.
That's smart.
And there really isn't an obligation for me. I was just like, I'll just do it, and I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to do whatever I want, kind of thing. So
growing up Catholic, confirmation is not an expectation per se. I mean,
it kind of was. It kind of was for
but
me.
not, I guess shouldn't say like obligation.
No, but it would have. I would have made some waves if I had said no.
Okay.
I would have to stand up and say no and present some reasons. And people in my family, I'm one of 5 kids, so some of them after me did, and so I was kind of surprised. I thought maybe people would just be like me, I guess,
Just go along with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Then some of your younger siblings were like, no.
yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I kind of wondered how that, like what levels of it are like not necessarily compulsory, but expected like that. So, okay, cool.
And I generally try to find common ground when I talk religion with people. So if I'm talking to Christians, it's like I get the thing that I really admire was like how Jesus taught people to act. And I think honestly, if you try to do that, wow, what a challenge.
Yeah.
Really, like, for one thing. And
Right. I think modern day Christians would be like surprised at how Jesus really acted.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so there is probably some debate about that, but I would rather maybe, if someone was Christian, like, I would rather maybe, if they wanted to talk about religion, I wouldn't want to. But if they wanted to, that's probably where I would go.
Sure.
And the thing that I could find common ground on.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I can't say that it's perfect, though. I mean,
No.
I think someone could really get taken advantage of if that was their whole impetus in life, and they didn't have it seems like a real lack of street smarts.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had supernatural powers in the background, I could just be a completely selfless giving person. But I don't. Like, I can get hurt, so I have to try some other things too, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So that might be one way in which I differ, but I guess I differ quite a great deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so then can I ask, like, now,
go
like,
ahead.
so like, what do you believe now? Like, do you believe in a God? Do you believe in how do you?
Though this is
where
what
do
we were
you-
talking about before. So I
Yeah.
generally, when people ask me that, as I say, what do you mean?
Yep.
So what?
Yeah.
what-
Which one?
Which one?
Yeah.
Sure. Which God are you
How do
talking
you define
about?
God?
And how would I know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where even Ethan and I are. Like,
Yeah.
I'm entirely open to evidence. Like, if you give me evidence and you go,
Right on.
you see right here, this is cool. I'm with you. With a lack of evidence, though, the best I can say is, well, I don't know, and I would hope that God thinks I'm all right. If there is one.
I mean, I consider myself agnostic, atheist agnostic.
Yeah,
At least with
Sure.
with a Christian deity. I don't. I believe in that as much as I believe in the
Right.
Hindu God or
Yeah.
whatever. I just genuinely think we don't know. I mean, we don't even know the human race that well. We don't
Right.
know how long we've been around, so how could we know how we were created and stuff? But like you say, if for some reason tomorrow somebody that's resembling Jesus comes down and says, "I'm Jesus," okay, yeah, all right, I believe in you.
Yeah, if
get it.
something
That is
comes
evidence,
out
is it
of the
not?
sky,
Yeah.
like if there is solid evidence, by all means, I'll turn my life around. But like,
Or if an elephant with 9 arms comes out of the sky,
Fair,
like,
yeah.
okay, Ganesh,
Yeah.
right? yeah, cool.
It was Ganesh. It was
That'd be
Zeus the
cool,
whole
man.
time.
Oh.
It was.
if it was Ganesha, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be all right with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
that.
Also, another thing I would do if that happened is I would question the origin of it, and I would still try to like explain it and examine it.
Yeah.
And that's a scientific approach, you know. But of course, I would accept that it happened. Yeah. And
Yeah.
evidence is evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and like you said, then you got to examine it too. And I would be curious about that God's behavior and how things have come about and why they have allowed things or not allowed things
Sure.
Right.
depending on, and again,
Are you gonna
we're
kill
kind of
me?
boiling it down to the Judeo-Christian deity, but
are.
like,
That's how we were raised.
but that's the
what we have
context that,
experiment-
right. That's the
experience with.
context where we're, that we find ourselves in. But even if I was in another culture, if I was, if I was Muslim, if I believed in that, if I believed in Muhammad instead, like I would still want to know, okay, where is the difference? Or what is the, I guess, what's your deal? What are you all about is kind of the question I would have for a deity.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions like that. I listened to an interview with Larry King. He was Mark Maron was talking to him, and it's one of my favorite podcasts.
The WTF podcast?
WTF, yeah. And is the first one that really hooked me. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. I just talking to comedians, I guess. But so he talks to other people. He was talking to Larry King, and Larry King says he has no religion. So I mean, he never said he was an atheist, but I think that's how he would describe himself in private. Probably that's what it sounded like. And he said, he's always talking about current events and things like that, and he would question, like people would say, well, God doesn't do anything wrong. Man does things wrong, And he's like, yeah, so you could understand about a war or something like that. But like, what about a hurricane? Like, does God really, does he make that happen or does he not stop it? Like, or is he unable to? Like, it has to be one of those things if he's all good.
Yeah.
Or is that good? Or is a hurricane good?
Right.
Like, one of those things has to be true. It's just logic.
Yeah.
I had an example a few years back. A friend of mine was like, I truly believe, he's still a believer and whatever. We're still great friends. But he's like, I truly believe that Jehovah helped so-and-so get their new furnace and AC unit because they couldn't afford it. And I was like, oh, was he doing that while he was ignoring all the children dying of cancer?
Sure.
And he had nothing to say because, I mean, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But he's going to help you with your comfort level in your house.
Yeah, well, you take assertions like that, and it always. So God is supposed to be all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful. Mm-hmm. If he's all-knowing, that means he sees everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. If he's all-powerful, then he can do what he wants to stop it. And if he is all-loving, then he should want to stop it. So at what point, like, there's a contradiction there somewhere.
Yeah.
And, like, where is it? Like, where is the...
One would think.
Where did the ball get dropped?
And the answer that I was given when I would ask this, I went to Catholic school through 6th grade, and you start to think of this stuff, is that it's a mystery. It's that God has a plan that we don't understand, and God is wiser than us, and that all of this is, and like, I mean, I think all that's inspirational and fine, and mystery is a very good way to describe our place in the universe, I would say. Like, what the fuck is this? How, dude, I don't know, man. Like, and that's when you ask, it's like, it's not like I don't care, but there's a dearth of evidence to like give me any direction. Or maybe there's a whole bunch of evidence. Maybe there's so much, but it's all different religions, right? Like, thousands of them. I mean, go through history, tens of thousands of religions.
Yeah.
Why would I say that the one that happened to be in my house when I was born? Why would that?
That you just happen to be lucky enough to be born in the Midwest.
Yeah.
In the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Because if we were born in the Middle East, if we were born in Africa, we would believe differently.
Yeah.
If we were
what's the most populous country? Is it China? Probably.
China, I believe, has
So I mean, if I was born in China, I would not be a Christian, most likely. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. It's kind of luck of the draw as to wherever you are born and whatever you are to some extent, quote unquote, indoctrinated into.
Sure. And I mean, I think it's worth everyone to examine what you were raised with and to question that and to say, like, there's a comedian, I think it was Doug Stanhope. I like his comedy a lot. And he said if you had never heard of the Bible and you were just you had to take a shit and it was on the toilet at like a golf course or something. Like, I don't know why he said that. But so it's like if you just found that book, like how long before you called bullshit if you had never heard of it and you were an adult? You know,
2 sentences.
Right.
It depends where you opened it. But would that occur to you that was the truth?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when he says it. You know, and I think it's worth asking the question. And I think honestly, if you have a sincere belief and faith, then that question is not threatening to you.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, and we've talked about it even on our podcast. Like, truth will hold up to scrutiny. And if what you believe is true, it'll hold up. And realistically, like I've come to a point where I really don't even care if what you believe can be backed up as long as you're not harming another person and not pushing it on someone else.
that sounds great.
Belief is fantastic. Like if you find peace in believing in a God and believing in this, that, and the other, awesome. I am so happy for you. I don't. I find peace not believing in God. To me, I look at it and I go, oh, I don't have to build up towards something that this person or this being expects of me. I can make my own rules and I determine my own morality. And as long as I'm treating other people good, like, I feel like I'm all right. Are you familiar with Pascal's wager?
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of use that as kind of like my matrix as to like belief or disbelief. And it kind of boils down to, if you believe and you're right, awesome. If you believe and you're wrong, well, that sucks. But if you don't believe and you're right, cool. And if you don't believe and you're wrong, I still got to hope that God's a decent person.
Right.
So, like, it kind of boils down to
that you'll be forgiven for
it's
not
really a
guessing
zero risk
right.
game.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at it logically, it's kind of a zero risk game there. You know, one thing that I liked somebody explaining it, the difference between like belief and science. If you take every science textbook right now and you destroyed every piece of scientific evidence and data that we have.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you destroy every Bible, every holy book, every Quran, Torah, Bhagavad Gita, whatever you just, you get rid of all of them. In 1,000 years, we're going to discover the same science.
You would think.
But these holy books are going to be different.
I would love to run that experiment because I think it would turn out that way, but I don't know.
Right. I mean, I have to believe that that's the way it would go because we back these other things with evidence and we would understand that science.
Yeah.
Because it just is what it is. And we've discovered that that's the building blocks of this universe, so to speak. But somebody else is going to come up with a different idea.
Yeah.
And this time it was a giant, I don't know, it wasn't a massive sea turtle holding, or it wasn't elephant standing on sea turtles or whatever the hell I'm trying to. We're mixing those up, but you know what I mean.
Like it's elephants on sea turtle.
Elephant on a sea turtle, yeah.
But I had a question about confessions.
Yeah,
because
okay.
like I've never really talked to anybody
Sure.
about that. I just know that Catholics did it. But
Right.
now that we've talked about kind of our elders meetings and everything.
Yeah. We did have that discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
You know a little more about that. Was
Absolutely.
confession as invasive, or is it really just like you just go in and you talk and that guy on the other side listens?
In my experience, it was not that invasive. No.
Okay.
I could say whatever I wanted to, and that guy listened, and I didn't have to show my face either. You can go like you've maybe seen
Like
it in
through the
movies.
rectory
but
thing?
yeah, there's a screen.
Is it the rectory? Is that what that's called?
The rectory.
Oh, the confessional.
Yeah, confessional. The
Yeah.
rectory was where the priests lived.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there was a screen, so that sound could pass through, but they couldn't see. So like,
Sure.
it could be something as simple as a curtain. So, but you could also sit in front of the priest if you wanted to. So
And like confess your sins eye to eye.
yeah. And there's a prayer you had to say afterwards that basically said that you were sorry completely, and that you would try your best to never do that again. And then the priest gave you something else to do to make up for it, to do the penance. So that would be prayers, or
Say 10 Hail Marys kind of deal.
yeah,
Right.
or it could be an act of service, or it could be something where you were actually making like restitution with the person that you hurt.
Okay.
Like telling them you were sorry or doing something for them. But more often I found it was just prayers, like say 10 Hail Marys or whatever. But I'll tell you, like,
Nailed it.
I confess to you that when I would leave the confessional, I felt really good. So,
Yeah.
like you
It
say,
makes
if something,
sense.
if it works for
Absolutely.
somebody,
Yeah.
they should do that.
By all means.
Yeah. There's like maybe like an ignorance is bliss or something. I'm not gonna say that. I wouldn't want anybody to be like me. I don't think it's necessarily like the happiest thing. The happiest thing would be to not question anything and for everything to work out for you just great, and to not have to go through all this this questioning and trying to solve this puzzle that has no answer. So I think psychologically, I think our minds demand an explanation. At least mine seems to be that way. It wants to know what I'm doing here. It wants to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And
I get that, yeah.
can I be here and not give it one? Can I? I
Yeah.
don't.
It's a little depressing because that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, it's like I'm accepting the fact that I don't know. I don't know anymore, and that's okay. But it does feel a little overwhelming at times, to not to accept
Sometimes
the
we
fact
wanna
you
have-
don't have an answer.
Right.
Sometimes we just want someone to be like, look, dumbass, here's what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's why you're here.
Right.
You do have purpose. But
Yeah.
in my head, it's kind of more just like, I think we're just here by chance.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how I feel.
Uh-huh.
I even posted something about it on Facebook maybe a week or so ago. It was a quote from Christopher Hitchens, and he made the comment that it's kind of long, so I'll paraphrase it, but essentially that if there is a plan, it doesn't care about us. From my perspective, I can't imagine that the universe cares or would care if I was gone tomorrow.
Sure.
On the grand scale of
Sure.
things. I've got friends and people that would be sad, but in the grand scheme of things, like what do we amount to? And again, the ultimate answer is I don't know. I don't think there's a purpose. I don't think there's a plan. But again, I'm open to the evidence. If you can provide it to me, cool.
Well, if I wanted to argue with that, which I really don't, but if I want,
Hey, man, I'm down. Go for it.
if I wanted to, this is what I like to do. So
Absolutely.
if I wanted to argue with that, I would say one thing that's remarkable to me is that we haven't found anything like this in anywhere else in the universe. We're looking, and we may find something like that, and maybe people think aliens have visited us and stuff but I mean, as far as I haven't seen any hard evidence that would support that like there's anything out there like with an IQ. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's us.
Is there intelligent life somewhere else? For all intents and purposes,
Then you
maybe.
can make the argument if there is intelligent life and they know about us, they're probably staying the fuck away.
Right. This is why the aliens won't visit.
Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Like they came by one day, they were like, fuck it, gone.
Yeah,
And they turned around and went back.
Yeah. But so I mean, maybe that would be my best case to support why we're special. but I don't know.
Well, so like, yeah, I was saying that it can get overwhelming or whatever, knowing you don't have an answer. But then you find a little happiness in like, the wedding song we picked, with Neutral Milk Hotel, Airplane Over the Sea. There's that one line where it's like how strange it is to be anything at all, and just accepting the fact that you don't know and you're alive now. Or I heard a Todd Snyder song the other day that I've never heard before, and it's just a song about how I can't remember all the lyrics. I only heard it once, but it's a song about how all these things had to fall in line for billions of years for you to exist now. And it may not mean anything, but you are here. So make the best of it.
I love Todd Snyder. I'm going to have to find that one. Doesn't sound familiar.
There's even more than that, I think. Like, okay, so if you wanted to keep going with that, so there's all the sperm that you could have come from, because there's a load of I don't know, some millions, right? But then there's and there's obviously like everything, all this stuff in the universe coming together to make this planet and all this. But even after you were born, everything that's happened to you up till now makes you you. Like if there were to be a copy of me all of a sudden that had me and all my memories and all my everything, and that guy went outside and went for a walk around the block and we stayed here talking, when he came back, we'd be a little bit different. Like everything that happens to me makes me.
Yeah.
What the odds are, it's impossible that I'm here if you look at it just from like a probability standpoint.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah, like where is that? Like, what is that divergent point? Like,
and wonder. I think you're talking about wonder, maybe like how strange it is to be anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the answers are there for you, you don't really have that wonder.
Right.
True.
And wonder's amazing. It feels great and scary.
I love being surprised.
Wanderlust is why we progressed so far as a species.
Yeah.
What's over the next ridge? Hey, let's go sail across that giant body of water.
Yeah.
And wonder what's over there.
Yeah.
Just things like that. I mean.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's even, again, if I don't attribute it to a creator per se, and I wake up and I'm watching a beautiful sunset over this lake and it's just gorgeous. And I'm like, God, this is so fucking pretty. And I love it. And I sit there and like, I feel good, like inside, like, you know what? You just have like that kind of, that feeling of awe. And like you said, of wonder. And to me, I go, how cool is it that by chance these particles in the atmosphere are in this position right now, and this light is breaking through, and like this lake is just glassy calm. Like it just, to me, like it actually does more for me seeing like beautiful things in nature and stuff like that now. Now, like I appreciate it so much more, as opposed to being like, oh, I love that sunset that, Jehovah gave me. And I don't believe he did. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't think so. Yeah. But for me, the chance of it and the unlikelihood that was gonna happen, the probability of being so low really gives me that sense of wonder, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's other things too, like relationships with people.
Yeah.
It means so much to me,
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that, So there's a lot of gratitude, honestly, just for like gratitude, wonder, like all those things they're kind of religious experiences, whether you're religious or not. Yeah,
spiritual.
Yeah. There's so much. This is something, is like there really is so much that's unexplained. I really don't think we're that smart.
No,
I
we're smart by our standards.
Yeah, I don't rush in to try to explain them. I try not to. I like resist the urge to try to come up with an explanation for something. Because that's just me, I guess. Like I'm cursed to like try to live an accurate existence where I guess maybe that's, if we're getting at what my religion is, it's trying to see things how they are. Right. I don't know what that is. Yeah. So that's where I'm going. And I'm not saying it's not your religion if you're listening to this. And it's probably frustrating to someone who is religious, because I'm not saying it is your religion either. I'm saying if you think it's your religion, come down and tell me why it is. That's it. If you care. I think, I mean, I've developed a set of things that that seem true to me based on that, trying to live an accurate existence. And I think they're horseshit. I mean, I really do when it comes down to it. Like I would assert that death is permanent. I would assert that I'm a nervous system that it stops working at some point and it switches off. Mm-hmm. And there isn't anything immortal about me. That's what I would assert.
I'm with you. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at it as, what was life like before I got here? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And you know what I think it's going to be like after? The same.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to go, and something's going to shut off, and then I'm going to turn into worm food.
I love thinking about the fact that, I mean, we're not completely just us either. I mean, yeah, we're a nervous system. That's what's kind of controlling everything. But I forget what his name was, but he was talking about like your gut biome. If you just all of a sudden, you're like, man, I really want an eclair. And you get in the car and you go buy an eclair, you eat it, and you're like, that was good, you know? But then what if you're told that there is a bacteria that can reside in your stomach, in your gut biome, that craves the chemical makeup of an eclair? Who really went and got the eclair? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's things, you're not even in complete control of your own body. You have mites that have sex on your face while you sleep.
That's true.
You
I
can't
hope they're
get away
having a
from
good
that.
time.
Oh, man.
That's just we are vessels.
Happy to accommodate your minds.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you need to breathe air. And you need to eat something, and you need water. You need to think. You need to think something. It doesn't. You don't go long without thinking of some shit. Like there needs to be activity.
yeah.
And it's like that isn't just a static you, and that isn't a self-contained you either. If I'm breathing, I'm sharing all this. There's all these chemicals coming in and out of me all the time. So
Little
and
living
At what point does it
microorganisms
stop becoming part of me, or like?
sure.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that I think was interesting too is, you mentioned, that, I don't think we're that smart. Like, we're not that intelligent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I look at things like, things like psychedelics, mushrooms and LSD, things that are, if you look at brain scans, given a placebo versus given psilocybin mushrooms. And I don't know if you've ever like looked at the brain scans and the neural connections that are made before and after that. Like, yeah, we don't know shit, but these things unlock the potential like in your brain and in your mind. And now all of a sudden, like, it's just, how can a little mushroom have that much impact on us and that much enhancement and being able to really unlock that?
Well, it's a chemical thing, presumably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like maybe a chemical way to augment your brain
Right.
and its function. I mean, we do stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
Like I drink coffee and it helps me focus.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
people augment their brain with drugs. Yeah. We tend to think more brain activity is good and that kind of thing too. And
No, only for like 2 hours.
That's true.
And then I'm done. I
Yeah.
don't want them. I don't want it.
you could
anymore.
probably get too much brain activity.
Yeah,
You
oh,
can,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I mean, and one thing that I like of it, and maybe we could touch on it just briefly.
Sure.
I like it for like the therapeutic aspect of it, and helping with the mental health side of it. And so, I wanted to ask you just a couple of questions about
Sure.
that, or a little bit, because you have a background in mental health
Yeah,
as well.
I
Correct?
got my master's in counseling. It's up on the wall there.
Yeah,
so.
Masters of Science in Applied Psychology, concentration in mental health counseling. Yeah, I have 2 weeks left, and I finished my master's in clinical mental health counseling.
Awesome.
So, well, I got 2 weeks of coursework.
Okay.
And then I've got residency and internship bullshit,
Yeah.
but that's another story.
Is it bullshit?
Well, not really. Fair enough.
Okay.
I have that. I have those formalities that I still have to go through.
okay.
Right? It's not. I've already been working in the field, and I'm working with the employer that I'm going to be doing my residency and internship with. So it's like, so now
it
it's
seems
just
redundant.
yeah. Now
kind
it's like,
of,
let's
or-
flip this switch so that we can start counting those hours that
Yeah.
you're spending and report them back to your school. Okay, great.
I get that. Yeah, I get why you say it's bullshit. now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. In practice, no. Like, some of the best experiences that I've had have been in my pre-residency
Mm-hmm.
field experiences and things like that have been amazing. Like, it is great experience. So yeah, it's more the red tape that I consider bullshit.
Yeah.
I guess I should
But
say.
yeah, that is my background. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's Did you have any questions about that, or
Well,
like?
so how did you get into that?
Well, I always wanted to be.
Or when, too, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to be an entertainer, and I've always been one. And I didn't. I was taught it wasn't practical to do. So, and that I couldn't really make a living doing it.
Sure.
So I was always smart, and I was able to be good in school if I wanted to. So like,
It's kind of how I was.
yeah. So I
If I wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, and I was. So like,
Whatever, guys.
in some sense, it was a ticket out of my hometown,
Sure.
like going to college. So,
All right. Fair.
that might have been part of it, but it was just really part of my identity at that point that I couldn't see beyond, that I had an intellectual side and that college was what you do next.
Okay.
So that I didn't know what I wanted to study. I didn't, and I just took generals and I dropped out several times, and it took me like 7 years to get my 4-year degree. And ultimately I chose what I was interested in studying, which was psychology.
Yeah.
So, and I also took anthropology, sociology, and I wanted to know about what we're like people.
Yeah.
I never felt like a normal person, like I fit in with everybody. So I felt like I kind of needed it as a handbook for living with all you motherfuckers. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
So I mean, it worked. It was expensive, but it worked. And
Yeah.
then like the self-help piece brought me to counseling, and I always have liked having one-on-one conversations with people. And I thought, well, if I could get paid to do that, that would be great, And I went to therapy when I was a teenager, and probably just because I was weird, and my parents sent me to a counselor.
Yeah.
It was nothing serious, but I did get in some trouble and stuff, so I can see why they would do that.
Sure.
And I don't think it was necessarily that good for me. It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad, but I don't think it like.
It was just more of a.
Didn't really.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
nothing.
I just walked in. Guy's like, yeah,
Well,
So
how
what am I-
old were you?
Yeah, 14,
Yeah.
13,
Okay.
14. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wouldn't have done nothing for me at 14. either.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
fine. It was fine, and but it seemed like something I could do. Like, yeah, and I had some experience with it. Like, I got an IQ test when I was a kid because like, oh, this kid's smart and stuff like that. So I had some experience being in that office and stuff, and like in that world,
Sure.
and I thought I could do that. Yeah. So
So how long did you do that for?
not very long. Like part of my therapy, learning to do therapy was getting therapy at the school I went to, Southern Oregon University. So they're like, you need to go to 10 sessions of individual therapy to do self-exploration. So that's what I did. I mean, I wasn't diagnosed with anything, so it was really just me talking about myself, and but I learned a lot of things about myself that it helped me to be better. So a lot of it was that I was very self-critical, and that I was didn't necessarily believe in myself, and so I came to discover that I was just doing my plan B, like therapy was my plan B, and that what I really wanted to do was what I was doing when I wasn't in school, which is going out and playing bars and and entertaining people.
Right.
So, though after I realized that, there was really no talking me out of it. It was just a thing that I was compelled to do, and that's what I was gonna do. At least I was gonna give it a shot. So
Yeah.
I did, and I sort of had a day job doing therapy for a bit, off and on. To answer your question, for like maybe 3 years or something, I was kind of doing both.
Okay.
And then my hobby just started paying the bills, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So there was one piece I was trying to remember that I wanted to come back to.
I definitely learned that we don't know that much. Getting my master's, I thought I would have a lot more concrete information.
Yeah. That's something that I've
Psychology is very
noticed too.
nebulous,
Oh,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely. Well, and I guess remembering what I was going to bring, it kind of ties back to
Okay.
that as well. The cost aspect of it and it being very expensive. Do you feel that was money wasted?
I mean, I couldn't because of cognitive dissonance. I have to believe in it. I have that much of an investment in the thing.
Sure.
I have to think it did some good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I said, like I needed something to function. It's so weird to describe because like I don't know how I would have been if I hadn't learned mental health, but I know that I used it to work on myself.
That's kind of my take. Yeah.
And I was always like, even as just like a memory device, everything I learned, I would weigh against my own experience. So if I'm learning abnormal psychology, I'm like, oh, I can relate to having mood swings. You know, I can relate to like being delusional. Like I can relate to these things. It isn't they don't cause a problem for me. So like I learned that the DSM, the handbook by which we diagnose people with mental disorders,
Right.
it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and it's really statistics that determine whether or not you're mentally ill. It's like, do you have like more than 2 standard deviations from the mean of this symptom, or something like that? I don't know all the details,
Right.
but it's kind of like that.
Right.
So like, and that isn't super solid, is it? Like, so it's like if I have a depressed mood 4 days out of the week instead of 5, then I don't have major depression or something like that. It's like, okay, like,
Right.
So if it drops to 4, then I'm cool.
Right. Okay, great.
And it's like,
now. Cool.
and it's like, oh, I mean, and then there's other definitions like, well, if you can function, then you don't really need, like, then you're not really mentally ill in some way. So like, but what about the functionality of our society? Like, it depends what you're being asked to do, whether or not you can function.
Right.
If I had a life of extreme privilege, I'd be asked to do very little. I could get away with a lot of things that would be mentally ill if I actually had to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where I get to where like this is not really solid, and biologically I can't can't look at someone's brain and say, oh, that person's a schizophrenic,
Right.
Or that it's like, gee, I kind of thought there'd be more answers when I started. Like, I really did.
Yeah. I've been consistently surprised over the last couple of years of the grad program that I've been going through to where it's all great information. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, and I love learning theory and different intervention and ways of working with people. But again, there's so much of it that is not concrete. But at the same time, I take a step back from it, kind of like you, and I go, if I didn't do this again, if I stopped tomorrow, if I stopped working in mental health, I don't feel like it would be a waste of money.
Right. I realize I probably didn't answer your question, but
no, you did. No, that was good. No, I loved it. Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay.
But I'm kind of like in that same boat where I don't think I would consider it a waste of money. I might look back at it and go, oh man, I'd like to get some of my money back out of this. But
it looks
at the
like
same
I'm
time,
going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with our current administration,
Right. Yeah.
looks like
I mean, I'm getting 20,000 back, so I'm happy about that.
All right.
Me too.
Party.
I mean, I'll believe it when I get
Right.
it, when it
I'm
arrives.
supposed to get 20 back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I could stop doing mental health and not feel like it was a complete waste of money.
Yeah.
I would still I'm not stopping. I'm continuing in mental health. Like that's the path that I'm continuing in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't feel like it was, ill spent.
Yeah. My favorite was social psychology. I didn't, that's not what I pursued in my master's. And sort of it was like, well, if you're gonna do social psych, you probably want to get a PhD, was what my advisor told me. And I was like, do I really want to do that much school? So and go into that much debt and stuff like that. So, but I still read social psychology books for fun,
Yeah.
And I feel like that and aspects of counseling too, for sure. Like it's helped me in my relationships with people.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah.
Like our other relationships.
Of course. Yeah. And it helps me with my career too. Like I know I just kind of want to make people happy. It's real quick and dirty way of saying what an entertainer does. So it's like,
Sure.
I just go and I can tell when people are happy. Like I have some experience with that. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not the best judge, but I'm a better judge than I was.
Right.
So,
being able to take that step back and see things from a a clinical perspective. And like I said, I mean, obviously, if we can't, you talk about the DSM, like you can't diagnose somebody that you're in a relationship or that you have like a close connection with.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you don't still recognize those symptoms. I'm not even. Marge Simpsons. I'm not even drinking. Like,
Maybe
I don't
me
even.
too.
Maybe that's the problem.
Right. I think this is the first one we've probably ever done completely sober.
That's another
We
first
got a
one.
little
Right.
money from last night.
But yeah, a little residual.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, being able to still recognize that, and
Yeah.
I think that's something that. Well, I mean, not something that I think. It's something that I know will never go away. Like, I'll always be able to pick up on things. And like you said, you can, even as an entertainer, if you're in the middle of a gig, like, you can pick up on the vibe of the crowd. You can pick up on how things are going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, like, in relationships and things, it can definitely be good and bad, being able to identify and recognize those things.
Yeah.
You guys feel like diagnosing me?
Let's do it. Let's go.
What am
No,
I?
I already
don't.
know.
What am I?
You guys know each other pretty well, I think. Yeah, I would defer to Tyler on this one.
Major depressive disorder.
Oh, yeah.
Moderate, recurrent.
Moderate, recurrent, major
Yeah.
depressive disorder. Damn, that's a mouthful.
I mean, I can't sign off on that, but if I was to go through the DSM, that's probably where I would put you.
Right on.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has something.
Yeah.
If you
Previously, I probably would have also like leaned toward like generalized anxiety as well, like a double diagnosis. But I don't know that you're an anxious person anymore.
No, not really. I was kind of bummed about it actually the other day because
That you're not anxious.
Right, yeah, because this guy put out some new merch that's really funny. It's a T-shirt that says "Ask me about my social anxiety."
That's beautiful.
Like I don't have it anymore.
Squeezy
Ask-
Jibs is his name. Look him up.
Squeezy Jibs?
Hilarious.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. No, I can't sign off on it, but maybe some major depressive.
Yeah, that
You know,
makes sense.
It's all right.
It gets
Given
me
the history.
thinking about.
I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety and major depressive disorder, severe recurrent, earlier this year.
Yeah. They kind of have to diagnose you to so you can keep going to therapy so that the insurance will pay for it.
Yeah.
And that was what I was thinking of just now too, is like, you know, I did have this idealistic view that like, and maybe still do, that like we can use this knowledge to become like the happiest, best person we can be, not just to get us out of a slump. It's a really negative way to look at it. Like, what's wrong with me? Well, if nothing's wrong with you, then what? Is this information useless? No, it's good information. And that's kind of was the approach I took when I was getting therapy, I guess, was like, I want to get better. I'm fine, but I would like to be even better than this. Like, why not?
I don't think he lives very far away from me, too.
No, from what I understand, it's in the neighborhood.
I'll just go in there and get my hair cut sometime. Yeah, right.
I did once.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, cut my hair. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Oh, that name sounds really
He
familiar.
works there at the
Wait, are we recording?
did.
You mean Schmalix?
It's recording. Yeah, we're rolling now, but I don't.
Schmonica.
Schmashki. Yeah.
I forget this isn't my podcast; it's yours. So yeah, we're rolling again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
was like,
cool. And we're back.
You guys don't really edit stuff much. You beep things out, I notice, and like
Names, if we actually accidentally drop names,
Yeah.
we'll edit that out. But other than that, I mean, it's just
us.
whatever. Unless we take a pee break or something. Even sometimes those
Sometimes
we
we
don't
keep
edit out.
rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I really like it because it's like sometimes the stuff gets really, it's really heavy stuff. Sometimes emotionally, like even listening to it, and like to have the space is nice, and to have it be casual is nice. If it were all like, if you just got to that right away and it was really tight and direct about it, that might be like a lot to take on.
Yeah.
So it makes it digestible.
Like even as we like kind of try to keep it lighthearted, even when we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, if people look closely or listen closely, I've teared up. I've gotten like emotional, like in spots where like it's like,
Oh, yeah.
but you know, we held it together.
Yeah.
I never tear up.
My third
Soft.
episode is going out tomorrow, and that has some actual like serious
Yeah.
content in it. The first two are pretty light, so
Yeah.
yeah. The third one's about not using social media, and it's I mean, a lot of it is it's from a teacher, and she's talking about people who, like, there's been threats to shoot up her school on social media and stuff like that. So, like, it isn't just like, oh, somebody's taking a meaningless picture of their omelet or something. Like, it's real, you know? And and a student was sexually harassing her over social media and whatnot. You know, she's not on it, but the student's, like, taking inappropriate photographs of her and stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah, this shit's wild.
I would not like to be a teacher.
Yeah.
They deserve more money.
Yeah.
For
By
sure.
far.
Yeah.
I only heard this from one guy. When I took that, when I was taking that flint napping class a few weeks ago, it was just me and one other dude that he goes to the makerspace all the time. So like he has a membership and everything, but he's a college professor. I think he was calculus or something like that. It's big into math. He said it has been getting progressively worse, but this year his students are the worst.
In college?
Yeah. They don't pay attention.
Yeah.
They're rude. They don't care. Like, it's the worst group of people he said he's ever had to teach. I don't know. I wonder why. You know, I mean,
it's a weird world we live in.
Yeah. It might be. Yeah, I can't guess. You know?
That's hard to even
it's
speculate
the
on.
post-pandemic thing, but, like, you know, one thing that, like, I was going to say about post-pandemic, I kind of forgot where I was going. Sorry. It'll come back to my brain isn't really catching up, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we've talked about, you know, kind of
Yeah.
growing up and kind of that background. And we've talked about the mental health side of things and the education side of things. And so what's life like now? What does, you know, quote unquote paradise look like for you?
Yeah.
You know, do you think you've found paradise for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's life is amazing and wondrous, and you make the best out of it. But yeah, I mean, paradise seems like an exaggeration. No, I'm going to say no. I mean, short answer, no, it doesn't exist. It's not. I'm not going to delude myself. Like I said, I'm seeking an existence where I view things accurately.
Through authenticity. And
paradise is in little pieces here and there. And I grow, you know, I can, one thing I'll say, I look at silver linings a lot.
Yeah.
I look at the best part of everything that happens to me, and I focus on that, and I take that. And like I was talking about gratitude before, it's like, I'm not thanking anyone, but I do feel good about it, and I'm glad. And if I remind people that they're special to me, and I say, oh man, this is great. Like, I just say that to myself whenever I can, you know? And if I'm feeling bad, I think about, like, well, there's another side to this that's better, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's that other song too where they talk about, I want to feel love and pain, pride and shame, like all the emotions. I want to feel everything. Because I mean, if it was all just great all the time, I mean, you'd take everything for granted. You have to have some of the silver lining, I guess. You know, you have to go through bad stuff and get out of it. It makes you a stronger person. It makes you appreciate the positive things more. You know.
It's good that they want that, because you can't avoid it. It's going to happen to you, you know?
Right.
If you were born, you will be in pain at some point. And like,
Yeah.
The older
Existence
I get.
Existence is pain.
Yes, it is. Anyone who says differently is,
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not used to existing for this long, Jamie.
We're not supposed to.
Starting to get weird.
Right.
Oh, you gotta blame him. He wrote me into this.
He wrote me into this. It is a metaphor for just being human, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
on a very short, limited scale, or me seeks in some way.
I'm going to have to go out and watch that episode. I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah. I just watched it the other night.
Yeah.
One of these days, your Meeseeks sign outside of your place is going to disappear. It's going to be in front of my place.
Know. We got to repaint that thing.
I know.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty.
I was telling him, I think I haven't finished season 5, and they're getting ready to.
Oh.
I don't know if they started season 6 or they're about to start season 6.
I think it's
We're
coming
on
out.
it.
So I'm like, ooh, I got to get
There is a
caught
season
up.
in progress right now.
Yeah, I think season
6.
6 just started a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I got to binge season 5, get caught up, and
It was a weird one.
That's what I heard.
Season 5 was odd. There's this
Yeah.
whole episode about dragons.
Oh yeah, the dragon one wasn't my favorite. I really
It
liked
was so
the
weird.
story train one because it was so meta.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, but there was a lot of good episodes in it. The new ones are good too.
Yeah.
There's one of them I didn't care for out of 4 or something. So like that's pretty good.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's not for me. It doesn't mean it.
Right.
It didn't seem real Rick
It'll
and Morty
resonate
to
with
me.
somebody else.
Yeah. Every once in a while, they have some stuff that doesn't seem real Rick and Morty to me, and it seems more like South Park or something. And I'm like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
Fair
so
enough.
like, yeah, it's fine. I get it and shit, but it's not. That's not why I watch that show.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Speaking of South Park, did you
Yeah.
watch that?
I don't watch it. I don't-
No, or
Oh.
the 25th anniversary thing they did
Concert
at Red Rocks, the concert.
I didn't watch. I want to see it. I
That
haven't
was
seen it
so
yet.
good.
Yeah.
Primus is up there playing with Ween.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's awesome.
It's so cool. They played the original South Park song that they sent to Trey
Oh
and
yeah. Oh yeah. They did that
Nice.
theme. Yeah.
Matt. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I still
really-
need to watch that.
I laughed the
Yeah,
whole
and it's just on
time.
YouTube. So yeah,
Yeah, it's free. Yeah.
it's long. Isn't it like 2.5, 3 hours? It's long though.
It's like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, close to 2
whatever.
hours.
Figure it out.
I only like the movie. I never liked the show. I tried to give it a chance, but I like the movie because the songs are funny.
Right.
Like I like the songs.
Yep.
Uncle fucker.
Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
They do that song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
in the
Blame
whatever.
Canada.
They do Blame Canada. They do the Gay Fish, Kanye West.
Yeah, I would watch it for if it was just music. I would because I like funny music.
Yeah, it's mostly all just music.
Yeah.
You know,
I suppose it's at Red Rocks and it's a concert. So yeah.
It's an amazing venue. I love Red Rocks.
Red Rock is
God, I want to
awesome.
go. Yeah.
Not
I've only ever
been
been
there.
there for one concert. I've been there
Yeah.
before for like hiking and like going through, but yeah, I've been there for.
Yeah.
Went there for a concert last summer. You guys were there this summer.
I don't really like. I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was like, oh, this would be cool, whatever. And then we took before the show, we took a hike. There's like a hike you can take and look at all these dinosaur fossils that are still in the rock and stuff, and you can see Red Rocks. And I was like, oh my God, that's majestic. I bet that was like a very sacred place.
Sure.
A few hundred years
Sure.
ago.
Yeah, like what was going on in that amphitheater?
Right. And then, yeah, you go in there and you're like, this is magical. it's definitely a destination thing.
I have not been there. Yeah.
Do
It's
it.
very cool.
Yeah.
There's
Just do
not a lot of places in the world that honestly realistic like for like conventionally speaking, it's not like an aesthetically pleasing look, but it's just so beautiful. It's Red Rocks to me is just gorgeous. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely think it's the type of place where somebody needs to check out once.
Yeah.
Sure.
At least once. Yep.
Sure.
Still waiting to see.
Everybody plays there.
I'm still
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
to see Dirty Heads there. That's like my bucket list
Dirty Heads
concert.
would be-
Yeah.
And I was so upset when I found out that they were there like 3 nights before when I was out there for Blues Traveler last summer. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I would have rearranged the schedule to go 3 days earlier to see Dirty Heads at Red Rocks.
They were there the night before we saw Halsey.
They're there like every July. They're pretty much there.
Fuck, if I would have known.
They're pretty much there the end of June, beginning of July every year.
If I were on my own podcast, I could talk about how I don't go to concerts.
Ooh,
Because
Oh.
I do occasionally go to concerts, but for the most part, I don't.
I go to so many.
There's
It's
so many
ridiculous.
bands that are like my favorite bands that I've had an opportunity to see, but I have not gone to see, or like
Yeah.
bands that are supposed to be amazing live, and I just don't. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I'm coming up on 15 in like the last 12 months right now.
yeah, it's not like I never do, but I don't really like being around thousands of people. So it's
Yeah.
it's not super exciting.
I go
in
to
that
small club
regard, and, like,
shows.
So
yeah,
yeah.
kinda what I
I go
try
to,
to do.
and I do so many local shows. It's just like
Right.
I sort of get that itch scratched.
Yeah.
If I just wanted to like see somebody performing and with some other folks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
My
get that.
first concert was Tool. $80 a ticket.
Yeah.
Crappy seats.
That's another thing.
It
is
was
the money.
amazing.
Yeah.
Right. It was money. There's
Yeah.
so many people.
Right, right.
It's So I mean, nowadays I wouldn't spend more than like $60 on a ticket. I just don't care, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like,
or
of
if
those-
it's on a school night, I'm not going to the cities. If I got to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Last time I did that, it was horrible.
Yeah.
You know,
And I just randomly, like last Tuesday, was like, yeah, let's go to a show.
if I lived in the
And
cities,
the
there'd be
Sunday before that, I was
different.
like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like, for me, like I said, yeah, I don't like spending a lot of money. I think out of those dozen or 15 that I've been to the last year, I think $40 is about the most I've spent on a concert ticket.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, it's a lot of $25 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Who would you like to see if you did go to more concerts?
I mean, my favorite band is They Might Be Giants, and I go see them fairly often. I've probably seen them around like 10 times or something. But
Do they still tour?
oh yeah,
Really?
they're all sold out now. I mean, that's part of why like now I'm not gonna go see them because they're sold out for like a year. I'm not gonna try that hard.
yeah.
I've already seen them 10 times. Dude, they are brilliant. They are better than ever. Like, it's amazing how 60 they are and how like creative and fun and energetic they still are, and real. Like, it's incredible. There's such good songwriters and performers and stuff, and like their band is great, and they're still having new ideas and ways to present music that you never thought of. You know what I mean? And like, it's like, oh no, this is music too. Like, Ween is like that too. They're like, this is a song. You're like, yeah, kind of, but you know?
Yeah, right.
And I love that. I love that like outside of the box approach, you know? So yeah, I mean, definitely They Might Be Giants. I've been listening to Napalm Death since like 1991, and they're still touring, and they're also like, 50 plus years old. And I think it'd be cool to see them do that, give that much energy to like a show and play that music that is that brutal and intense. And like, to see that would be really cool. And they're also like, believe it or not, a very innovative band. Some people think it all sounds the same because it's all like growling and fast and shit.
I love this stuff. I don't listen to much Napalm Death, but metal, I mean.
Yeah, check them out. I mean, check them out forever. I don't know, listen to their new stuff and go backwards. That's usually what I say, like, if people want to know about a band that I like that's been around forever, like, yeah, they have classic stuff and you will hear it. So just like start with their
Start
new
with the new
releases.
stuff.
Yeah. I saw Clutch when they were here. I mean,
Primus?
And Primus. Yeah.
Primus is...
Clutch was actually my preferred band at that show, but I liked them both,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like the crowd here was pretty boring. Because I've seen Primus
Sure.
at other times, and it's like,
Oh,
we saw
yeah.
them with Mastodon.
Oh, that sounds great.
That was so great. And
Yeah.
I mean, they put on a wonderful show.
Yeah.
And here they were awesome too. It wasn't a Rib Fest or something, so it was like a lot of people that probably didn't even know.
Yeah. It
Who
wasn't. I don't
Primus
think
is.
it was at Rib Fest.
It wasn't?
No, but I mean, it wasn't. It was Mankato. I don't know.
Yeah, there's all live music.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
like there's kind of a thing where it's like, if everyone else is just standing around, then you're gonna stand around, and it takes something to whip people up a little bit.
I was trying, and I was smoking weed
good.
right next to the sound booth. Bouncing.
Trying to get a go.
Yeah.
It's Tommy the Cat is his name.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I wasn't doing that.
I mean,
What are you talking about? I don't do that.
I don't do that.
Do anything for love, but you won't do
I
that.
won't do that. No.
Do you know what that is?
Meatloaf. Oh, what he won't do?
Yeah. He confirmed that anal.
Oh,
If
anal.
you're
That's what
listening,
it was?
he confirmed anal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't delve any deeper, like giving or receiving. I don't
Yeah,
know
I was
what he
gonna
said.
say top or bottom.
Yeah,
or
I'm not
whatever.
sure what is. Yeah, if he's a top or a bottom or neither. I don't know. But
I would guess neither. I
Yeah.
mean, if he won't do it, he won't do it.
he's real dead now, so I don't know.
Yeah, he is. Rest in
Now
peace.
he doesn't have any control over whether or not he's
R.I.P.
anal.
Meatloaf. Now I really hope he's not into it because that's not friendly.
Yeah. No.
Well,
I have a sense of humor that goes as
It
low
gets
as
to-
it
oh,
gets.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's the way to do it. But you know what? I think that's about as good a place to
okay.
start
Okay.
wrapping things on.
Meatloaf to rest.
Do anal. Now you know.
But no, Ocho, thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
Amazing conversation. Glad to have you
Absolutely.
on. Thank you for letting us be on your show as well.
Yeah, fun
Hit us
day.
up anytime.
Yeah.
I'm always down. So
Yeah.
I got nothing else. That's it. You got anything?
No, not for this podcast. I mean, when we do a cat's up or something.
Yeah, we got to get one of them
A lot more,
happening.
but
I'll be listening. I just want to
Appreciate it.
plug my podcast one more time.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. Absolutely.
Well,
Where can we find you? And we'll put some links as well.
Well, the website is idon'tdothatpodcast.com. Or if you look on your streaming service, you can search for I Don't Do That with Ocho, and you should be able to find it. Yeah, it's
Dope.
also on my social media. I'm Ocho Tunes on Facebook. You can also go to ochotunes.com or Ocho Means 8 on Twitter. You should be able to find it somewhere.
Okay.
One of those places, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll definitely put your socials in the description if you want us to do that. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'll put some links in there.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being open and like,
Hell yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, great afternoon
blast.
of talking and
Absolutely.
just telling some stories. So yeah. Well, perfect. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. Cheers. We're out of here.
Take care.
Episode 10 in the bag.